7 voices rose in unison during midnight mass on Christmas Eve, 1868. Not in prayer, not in song, but in something else entirely. The sound didn't belong to any language the people in that Georgia chapel had ever heard. It wasn't chaos. It wasn't shouting. It was structured, rhythmic, deliberate. Candles flickered as if the air itself had turned cold. Men froze in their pews. Women clutched their coats. No one moved. No one breathed. The 7 who spoke were former slaves freed just 3 years earlier. They had attended services quietly for months. They had never caused trouble. They had never drawn attention. Until that night. What happened in the minutes that followed would be recorded by 3 witnesses. A minister, a town clerk, and a physician. Each wrote an account nearly identical to the others. Each admitted they could not explain what they had seen or heard. Unanswered, what did those 7 people actually say? And more than 150 years later, one question still remains. This is not a story about possession. This is not a story about miracles. This is a story about memory, about trauma, and about what happens when the past refuses to stay silent. Valdosta, Georgia, winter of 1868. 3 years had passed since the Civil War ended, but the war had not truly left. The streets were quieter. The grand homes stood half abandoned, their paint peeling, their gardens overgrown monuments to a world that no longer existed. The cotton economy had collapsed. The railroad depot sat nearly empty, and beneath the surface of peace, resentment simmered. Newly freed men and women navigated a society that didn't know what to do with them except use their labor and deny their dignity. The Freedmen's Bureau maintained a small office in town, staffed by a tired northern agent named Charles Whitfield. His authority was limited, his presence resented. Most freed people kept their heads down. The 7 sat down together, their faces blank, confused. They remembered nothing. By morning, the town was divided. Some said it was demonic. Others said it was a curse, a punishment for slavery, a warning. The 7 were not arrested. There was no crime to charge them with. But they were punished anyway. They lost their jobs, their customers, their standing. They became ghosts in their own town. Reverend Carver defended them and paid the price. His congregation shrank. Donations stopped. Threatening letters arrived. But Carver couldn't let it go. Something about that night haunted him. Carver began asking questions. All 7 had witnessed the same event in December 1860 for the execution of an enslaved elder named Elijah by plantation owner Nathaniel Hargrave. Elijah's crime: prayer. Hargrave had forced everyone to watch as he shot Elijah in the barn. 3 days later, Hargrave himself was found dead in his study. Official cause: heart attack. But whispers said otherwise. Carver traveled to the ruined plantation and found Hargrave's journal. One entry changed everything. They gather at night. They speak in the old tongue. The old man taught them. Tomorrow I will silence it. The old man. His name was Kofi. Kofi had been taken from West Africa as a boy. He remembered songs, words, prayers. He taught them not to curse, but to remember. After Kofi died, Elijah continued the prayers. And on Christmas Eve, for years later, something broke through. A linguistics professor named Dr. Alastair Finch analyzed phonetic notes taken during the incident. His conclusion: it was a language, fragmented, preserved, intentional, a prayer, not a vengeance, but remembrance. Ancestors' divine spirit, we give thanks. We are not forgotten. We are not lost. We are here. The town never fully accepted them, but the truth survived. Not as a curse, not as a miracle, but as proof that memory can outlive change. That trauma speaks even when silence is enforced. That history does not disappear just because we refuse to hear it. And maybe the most unsettling question isn't what they said, but why it took so long for anyone to listen. If stories like this matter to you, if you believe history still speaks when we're willing to hear it, consider subscribing, because some truths don't fade. They wait. And this is only one of them.